This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
A Torah Anytime original series.
Between the years 1959 and 1961, under the rule of Mao Zedong, China experienced what historians call the Great Famine, the largest famine in recorded human history. It wasn't caused by a drought or a war, but by a sweeping political campaign called the Great Leap Forward. Maoism was bold to transform China into modern industrial superpower overnight, but the policies he imposed on the peasantry, the forced collectivization of farms, and the distortion of basic agricultural practices led to an unprecedented catastrophe. Instead of harvests, there were empty fields, and instead of plenty, there was starvation on an unimaginable scale. Estimates vary, but historians agree that somewhere between 15 and 30 million people starved to death in just 3 years. You heard that correctly. 15 to 30 million people starved to death. More deaths than in many of the great wars of the 20th century. Entire villages just disappeared. Communities vanished. Mothers watched their children just waste away. And the human response to that hunger was almost unthinkable. People began to make bread from edible earth, a kind of clay mixed with leaves and roots, because they were so desperate for anything that resembled food. The moment you took a bite, you felt a hollow satisfaction, a sort of brief illusion that your body was fed, but it was a dead end. There were no nutrients in that dirt, no life, just the sensation of eating followed by the slow march towards death by malnutrition. That desperation, creating bread from dirt, is one of the most haunting and iconic images of the 20th century, and it reveals something deeper than hunger. It reveals what happens when people are forced to feed their bodies an illusion instead of nourishment. And that's where the lesson becomes spiritual. Too many of us today are wandering through life like those starving million Chinese people, seeking spiritual satisfaction in foods that have no nutrients whatsoever. People turn to philosophies that offer the appearance of meaning but contain nothing that actually sustains the soul. They chase after emotional highs and social belonging and moral fads and celebrity spirituality and music videos that get you nowhere and borrowed excuses and hollow routines and cultural trends that feel full in the moment but leave that heart empty. Like that clay bread, it just satisfies for a second, a puff of warmth, a moment of false comfort, and then the hunger returns deeper, sharper, and more painful. Here's the spiritual challenge. Are you building your life on nutritious truth, or on empty substitutes? Judaism, at its core, is not a religion of illusion. It's not a spiritual carbs that feel good for a breath and starve you shortly after. Proper Torah learning and following is nourishment for the soul, meaning that lasts, values that endure, a connection to something eternal that doesn't disappear when emotions fade or circumstances shift. When you immerse yourself in Torah and mitzvahs and purpose, you're not just filling time or chasing satisfaction. You're feeding your soul with life, because the greatest tragedy isn't hunger. It's when people think they're fed, but they're really starving. And that's exactly the state of so many today. They are spiritually starving, but they never realize it because they've been eating dirt disguised as bread. The tragedy isn't hunger, it's living on spiritual junk food and calling it a meal. But here's the good news. A soul nourished by truth doesn't have to starve. A life rooted in Hashem's Torah doesn't rot from within. A people who eat from spirituality that's real don't fade, they flourish. So ask yourself this: what are you feeding your soul? Because souls don't survive on distraction, they survive on truth. And truth doesn't just make you feel good for now, it keeps you alive for eternity.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.